וזמרת ויהי לי לישועה. Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat
Good to be
shalom.
together. We'll start with Ozi v'zimrat Yah, which is a line from the Psalms, and you can find it on page 647. So if you want the words, it's all the way in the back, at the very bottom of the page, 647. Ozi v'zimrat Yah, ויהי לי לישועה. עוזי וזמרת Yah, ויהי לי לישועה. עוזי וזמרת Yah, ויהי לי לישועה. עוזי וזמרת
Yah, ויהי Yeshua.
עוזי
זמרת Yah, ויהי Yeshua. עוזי זמרת Yah, ויהי לישועה, 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 לישועה.
Well, welcome in Shabbat with the lighting of candles on page 120. I'd like to invite Cheryl Cohen to light the candles.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner, lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Thank you, Cheryl. We'll turn to page 129 for a song that I don't know if we've done it together, but hopefully some of you know it. We're going to sing Dodi Li, which is a passage from the Song of Songs. My beloved is mine, and I am my beloved's. We think of Shabbat, we sing a lot of love songs on Shabbat because we think of Shabbat as a day of union between the people of Israel and God, or the people of Israel and Shabbat, depending on who you ask. But we celebrate love on this day. So we'll join together, 129. Dodi li vani lo haroeh bashoshanim. Dodi li בשושנים. מי זאת עולה מן המדבר, מי זאת עולה? מקוצרת מור, מור לבונה, מור לבונה. דודי לי ואני לא הרואה בשושנים. דודי לי ואני לא הרואה בשושנים. ליבבתיני אחותי חלה, ליבבתיני חלה. ליבבתיני אחותי חלה, ליבבתיני חלה. דודי לי ואני לא הרואה בשושנים. דודי לי ואני לא הרואה בשושנים. אורי צפון ובואי תימן. אורי צפון ובואי תימן. דודי לי ואני לא הרואה בשושנים. דודי לי ואני לא הרואה בשושנים. And speaking of Dodi, of my beloved, we'll sing our other Dodi song, Lecha Dodi, page 138. We'll sing verses 1, 2, and 9. When we get to that final verse, we'll rise and face the door and welcome in the Sabbath bride. 138. Lecha Dodi likrat kalai, alalai, 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 ne Shabbat, ne kabbalah. Lecha Dodi likrat kalai, alalai, 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 ne Shabbat, ne kabbalah. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, Yishmianu el hamyuchad, Adonai echad u'shmo echad, l'shem u'tiferet v'lithilah. Lecha Dodi likrat kalai, alalai, 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 ne Shabbat, ne kabbalah. Lecha Dodi likrat kalai, alalai, 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 ne Shabbat, ne kabbalah. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, Ki mekor haberacha, merosh mikedem nesucha, sof maaseh b'machshavat tchilah. Lecha Dodi likrat kalai, alalai, 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 ne Shabbat, ne kabbalah. Lecha Dodi likrat kalai, alalai, 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 ne Shabbat, ne kabbalah. Boi v'shalom, Ateret bala, gam b'simcha u'v'tzola, toch emunei am segula, boi chala, boi chala. Lecha Dodi likrat kalai, alalai, 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 pnei Shabbat, ne kabbalah. Lecha dodi likrat kala yalalai yalalai yalalai. B'nei Shabbat nekabela. You can remain standing as we turn to the words of Baruch Hu, page 146, our call to prayer. Yai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Baruch Hu et Adonai Amivorah. Baruch Adonai Amivorah Leolam Vaed. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. You can be seated. Let's join together on page 149, words of the twilight prayer. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai, Hama'ariv Aravim. We'll turn the page, sing our song of love, Ahavat Olam. Ahavat Olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha ahavta, Amcha ahavta. Torah u'mitzvot, Chukim u'mishpatim, Otanu lemadeta, Otanu lemadeta. Al kein Adonai Eloheinu b'shochbeinu v'kumeinu nasiach b'chukecha v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha u'v'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed. Ki hem chayenu ve'orech yameinu uvahem nege yomam v'layla nege yomam v'layla ve'ahavat chal tasir Mimenu leolamim, Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev amo Yisrael, Ohev amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Page 154, we chant these words from Deuteronomy. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol meodecha ve'hayu advarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavecha ayom al levavecha Veshinantam levanecha, v'dibarta bam, v'shivtecha b'veitecha, uv'lechtecha b'derech, uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha, ug'shartam leot al yadecha, v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha. Uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha leman tizkeru vasitem et kol mitzvotai vitem kedoshim leloechem ani Adonai Eloechem Asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim lihiot lachem l'Elohim ani Adonai Elohechem Adonai Elohechem Amen. I'd like to invite Jesse to share a reading up here to lead us into Micha Mocha on page, which one? 157.
Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before we ever stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together.
Let's turn the page, sing the song of redemption, Micha Mocha. Yai lai lai la lai la lai la lai la lai yai lai lai la lai la lai la lai ya lai la lai la lai la lai la lai la lai ya la lai lai ya la lai la lai Micha mocha ba'elim Adonai, Micha mocha nedar b'kodesh, Nora tehilo dosei pele, Nora tehilo dosei pele. Malchutecha rovanecha, okeyam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam. Ze'elianu ve'amru, Ze'elianu ve'ameru, Adonai imo le'olam va'ed, Adonai imo le'olam va'ed. Yai lai lai la lai la lai la lai la lai yai lai lai la lai la lai la lai yai lai la lai la lai la lai la lai la lai yai lai 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 yai lai 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 ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני Gal Yisrael. We'll turn now to page 160 as we sing our nighttime prayer, the words of Hashkibenu, in which we ask that we lie down in peace and rise up tomorrow to life renewed. Let's sing together.
Hashivenu Adonai Eloheinu L'Shalom Hamidenu Shomreinu Lecha your peace over us. Guide us in wisdom, compassion, and trust. Hashivenu Adonai Eloheinu L'Shalom Hamidenu Shomreinu Lecha Save us
For the sake of your name,
shield us from hatred, sorrow, and pain.
Hashivenu Adonai, Eloheinu Shalom,
Shalom.
Hamidenu Shomreinu Lecha. We turn now to the Amidah, our standing prayer, which begins on 164. And as you know, we begin with the prayer that reminds us of the matriarchs and patriarchs, the Avot v'Imahot, in which we say, we praise you, God, who is the God of our fathers and mothers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob. So the commentators ask, well, why does it keep repeating God of, God of, God of? It's one God, just the one, right? And they answered that each of the matriarchs and patriarchs had their own unique relationship with God. And so they say it's the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob. And so our task as we enter into the Amidah is this is our own time with our own unique personal relationship with the divine. So I invite you to turn to page 164 and rise if you're able. We'll chant the first few blessings together and then have our own personal time. Adonai sifatai tiftachu fi tehillatcha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah. Ha'el Agadol Hagibor V'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim V'Konei Hakol V'Zocher Chasdei Avot V'Imahot U'Mevi Geulah Livnei B'neihem Leman Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer Umoshia Umagen, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Abraham, Be'ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor Leolam Adonai, Mechaye HaKol Atah Rav Lehoshia, Mashiv HaRuach Umorid HaGashem, Mechalkel Chaim Bechesed, Mechaye HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Tomech Noflim Verofech Olim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Micha Mocha Bal Givurot, Umido Melach, Melech Meimit Umechaye, Umatzmiach Yeshua. V'ne'eman atah lahachayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai, mechaye hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kadoshim b'chol yom yehallelujah selah. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh. Yehu leratzon imrefi ve'yon libi lefanecha Adonai tzuri Adonai tzuri v'goali Yehu leratzon imrefi ve'yon libi lefanecha Adonai tzuri Adonai tzuri v'goali. Page 181. We reach for you, our God, from our quiet places. May we stand still for a brief moment and listen to the rain. Stand still for a brief moment and watch the play of sunlight and shadow on the leaves. For a brief moment, listen to the world. Let us stop the wheels of every day to be aware of Shabbat. Find the stillness of the sanctuary which the soul cherished. Renew the covenant of an ancient people. We need a quiet space to test the balance of our days, the weight of our own deeds against the heaviness of the world's demands. The balance is precarious. Steady us with faith. Quiet places and stillness, where we will hear our own best impulses speak. Quiet places and stillness, from which we will reach out to each other. We will find strength in silence, and with this strength, we will turn again to your service. This week's Torah portion, Vayishlach, begins. Jacob sent messengers ahead to his brother Esau in the land of Seir, the country of Edom. This is the moment of reckoning. when Jacob faces his past in order to secure his future. The brother he has wronged, the brother he has been running away from for 20 years, approaches, and with him 400 men. Does he come in a spirit of reconciliation and forgiveness, or for revenge? There's no way for Jacob to be sure. Naturally, Jacob is afraid. So he does what many people do when faced with a frightening or uncertain situation. Jacob tries to exert control, to maneuver and manipulate in order to achieve a favorable outcome for himself. First, he divides his entourage into two camps, saying, if Esau comes to the one camp and attacks it, the other camp may yet escape. Then he prays to God, reminding God of the promise to give him offspring as numerous as the sands of the sea. Surely having the whole family killed by Esau would not be a fulfillment of this promise. And finally, Jacob sends Esau gifts, hundreds of sheep and goats and cows, reasoning, if I propitiate him with presents in advance and then face him, perhaps he will show me favor. The younger brother who schemed his way into a birthright and a blessing is still scheming. But there is one small sign that Jacob might be ready to give up his manipulative ways. The next verse says, and so the gift went on ahead while he remained in camp that night. Rashi, the great medieval commentator, notes that Jacob sends this gift in an angry mood, that it should be necessary for him to do all this. Jacob is tired of plotting and strategizing and trying to outsmart his brother, of trying so hard to win. He just might be tired enough of all the maneuvering that he is open to a new possibility, a new way of dealing with conflict. But first, Jacob tries to run away, again. He brings all of his family and livestock across the river, but then goes back across alone. The Midrash says he left some household items and went back for them, but one commentator perceptively suggests that no, he was actually trying to run away to avoid the confrontation with Esau. But there's no escape this time, as Jacob is met by a mysterious being who prevents him from leaving by wrestling with him all night. As dawn breaks, Jacob has prevailed, though with a sore hip, having received a blessing and a new name from this being. Your name shall no longer be Jacob, but Israel, for you have striven with beings divine and human and have prevailed. Yisrael is defined here as coming from the root to strive, but it is also connected to the word sar, prince, and is also similar to the word yashar, which means upright or righteous. It seems that this new name is a challenge to Yaakov, to Jacob, which means to supplant, to leave behind his manipulations and schemes, and become Yisrael, the one who wrestles with himself and with God to face whatever challenges he meets with honesty and courage. As Rabbi Jonathan Sachs writes, how then are we to understand what the angel said to Jacob? Not as a statement, but as a request, a challenge, an invitation. Read it not as you will no longer be called Jacob, but Israel. Instead, read it as let your name no longer be Jacob, but Israel. Meaning, act in such a way that this is what people call you. Be a prince, be royalty, be upright, be yourself. Don't long to be someone else. This would turn out to be a challenge not just then, but many times in the Jewish future. So, does Jacob or Israel rise to the occasion? Does he overcome his propensity for scheming and avoidance? Esau and Jacob meet at last, and we read, Esau ran to greet him, he embraced him, and falling on his neck, he kissed him, and they wept. Jacob humbles himself, addressing Esau as my lord, and urging him to accept the gifts he has sent. Esau eventually accepts the gifts as they are meant to be the repayment for the stolen blessing, and invites Jacob to accompany him to his home. Jacob demurs, however, making an excuse that he can't travel too quickly for fear of harming his children and flocks. Go on ahead, Jacob says, I'll meet you there. So Esau turns to go back to Seir. And then Jacob turns the other way and ends up in Shechem, where he makes a home for himself. It's a bit of a letdown, I think. We tend to think of Jacob wrestling with the angel as a moment of transformation, an experience that changes Jacob permanently for the better. And while he may have gone on to have an honest and heartfelt reconciliation with Esau, he then goes back to his old ways of deception, pretending to agree to visit Esau, but then running the other way. Jacob is still Jacob. That is one reason why throughout the rest of the book of Genesis, he is sometimes called Israel and sometimes called Jacob. The transformation is never complete. The transformation is never complete because change is hard. Change requires the breaking of old habits and the learning of new ways of being. It doesn't happen overnight, even when that night involves an angelic visitor. For the rest of Jacob's life, he will still struggle to deal fairly with his relatives, and he will still have a tendency to avoid difficult subjects. But he will also leave some of the deception behind and perhaps become less of a schemer. Jacob's wrestling does not end in unequivocal victory or transformation. But right in the middle of the struggle, as Jacob and the mysterious being grapple with each other, something happens. The angel, seeing that Jacob is not giving up, says, "Let me go, for dawn is breaking." Jacob answered, "I will not let you go unless you bless me." The angel said, "Your name shall no longer be Jacob, but Israel." In the middle of the struggle, still face to face and arm in arm, the angel blesses Jacob and says, "Vatuchal." The word "vatuchal" is usually translated as "you have prevailed," but it also means "you are able." Jacob is given the additional name of Israel not because he has won the wrestling match, but because he is able and willing to keep wrestling. Jacob is a work in progress, just like each of us. We are B'nai Yisrael, the children of Israel, which means, I'm sorry to say, that we are also meant to struggle. We are called upon to take up the same struggle as Jacob, the struggle to grow and change, the struggle to become more yashar, more upright, and more like a Sar or Sarah, more princely than we are. And if we are able to continue to struggle, we might also find, like Jacob does, that in the midst of the struggle, there is blessing. Shabbat Shalom. We'll turn to page 371 for the words of Mishaberach, our prayer for healing. And if there's anyone on Zoom who would like to share the name of a loved one they're praying for tonight, someone in need of healing of body or spirit, I invite you to unmute and share your loved ones first. Let's join together in the middle of page 371. Mishaberach Avotenu Mekor habracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishaberach imotenu mekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. We turn to Aleinu L'Shabeach, page 586. Please rise. Aleinu L'Shabeach Ladon HaKol, Lateit Gedula Liotzer Bereshit, Shelo Asanu Kegoye Haratzot, Velo Samanu Kamishpechot Adama, Shelo Samchel Kenu Kahem, Vigor Aleinu Kechol Hamonam. V'anachnu korim umishtachavim umodim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu. V'nemar v'haya Adonai l'melech al kol haaretz. Bayom hahu, yeh Adonai echad, u'shemo echad. Please be seated. We turn now to the prayer of memory, page 598. And as I say the name of your loved one, I invite you to stand in their honor before we all rise to recite Kaddish together. We're in the period of Shiva, the first week of mourning for Arlene Weiss, aunt of Ronnie Peterson. We're just finishing Shloshim, the first 30 days of mourning for Phyllis Katz, mother of Cheryl Cohen, and Robert Rivas, brother-in-law of Joe Eagle. And we are observing this week the yahrzeit, the anniversary of death of Sander Alexander Kaplan, father of Malcolm Kaplan, Esfir Benderskaya, great aunt of Larissa Krasnovskaya, Michael Klein, brother of Janice Fontino, Frances Perlman, aunt of Rosalie Rosenbaum, and Samuel Toland, father of Ann D. Wilson. There's someone else that you are remembering tonight. I invite you to rise and share their names with us.
Greg Othmer and Scott Jones.
May their memories be a blessing. We rise together, page 598. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, ve'alma divrach yiruteh v'yamlich malchuteh, v'chayechon u'vyomechon u'v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'vizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'lalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei d'kudsha b'richu. La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiram be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, v'imru amen. May the source of peace and peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved. Together we say, amen. Be seated. I'd like to invite Terry to share some announcements on behalf of the board. You want to come on up?
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Don't forget to donate to 2 fundraisers for the holiday season. Embrace a Family with Jewish Family Services of Silicon Valley, and a holiday dinner drive benefiting the Alameda County Community Food Bank. Please give generously. TBT's family Hanukkah celebration is tomorrow at 11 a.m. And on Sunday, December 15th, we'll have our Hanukkah baking event at 1 p.m. On Friday, December 27th, we have a special Hanukkah service and latke dinner starting at 5:30. Please note this is an earlier start time and RSVP so we have enough food. Remember to check the weekly and the website for all news and event information. And I want to thank Dave for sharing the music and Joel for representing the worship committee. And is it Ankur, if I'm pronouncing correctly, for running the AV tonight. Shabbat Shalom.
Thanks, Terry. Shabbat Shalom. So we'll offer our priestly benediction, our family blessing. It is a tradition on Shabbat to bless your children, and we extend that here to blessing all kinds of family. So we'll join together in these words. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God bless you and keep you. May God's light shine upon you and be gracious to you. May you feel God's presence with you, and may God grant you peace. Amen. We will close our service with a prayer for peace. Od yavo shalom aleinu. Peace will yet come. Page 657, if you need the words. Od yavo shalom aleinu. Od yavo shalom aleinu. Od yavo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam. Od yavo shalom aleinu. Od yavo shalom aleinu. Od yavo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam. Salam aleinu ve'al kulam. Salam, shalom, salam, aleinu ve'al kolam, salam, shalom. Od yavo shalom aleinu, od yavo shalom aleinu, od yavo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam. Od yavo shalom aleinu, od yavo shalom aleinu, od yavo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam. Salam, salam, aleinu ve'al kolam. Salam, shalom.
Salam.
Salam, aleinu ve'al kolam. Salam, shalom. Od yavo shalom aleinu. Od yavo shalom aleinu. Od yavo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam. Woo! Shabbat shalom. Let's
Shabbat
join for
shalom.
Kiddush and Motzi. Ozi v'zimrat yah.